Hello, I'm Nobby. Welcome to the workshop. Slightly different little project I've got today. I've got to drill a couple of holes in this tubing. One at about an inch and a half in, and the other one I think was 7.5 inches in. I did mark that out approximately. Yeah, 7.5 inches in. To make sure I get them all in exactly the same place, I've put a mill stop on here so that the part will come up to the stop every time, so I don't have to sort of keep remeasuring out. So I've got to do 4 tubes, so I've got to drill this hole first, and then I can reset up to drill the other hole here in exactly the same fashion. So I've got a spot drill here at approximately 1.5 inches in. It is not critical because using the stop here, of course, it's going to fall in the same place every time. And I'm ultimately drilling this out to 6mm, which I hope will be enough to take the little bolt that's going to go through here. So later on you'll see what this is actually for. But let's see how we can proceed with this little job. I've already set the workpiece up to find the centre here. Obviously I've got to be very, very careful because I'm drilling onto a round part here, so I'm hoping that this is quite a medium-sized spot drill, so I'm hoping that won't skate at all. Swap this over for the 6mm drill. I'm hoping that I can drill straight through with the right size drill now, rather than having to step drill up in size. Let's see how this goes. Well, that part's gone okay. Guess we'll take that drill out and try a 6mm bolt in that. Yep, that's going to be okay. It gives me a decent clearance. So what I can do now is switch the part over and put the next part in to get it in exactly the same position. Take that out. It looks okay, just a bit of deburring to do on the other side. Put the next one in. And the chuck, bring it up to the stop. I just hold that down. So hopefully that's in tight enough, and spot drill in again. Okay, so 2 down, 2 to go, but I'll do the rest of those off camera. Now what I've got to do is repeat the procedure all over again on all 4 pieces. This time the hole is 7.5 inches from the end. What I did on the last one is just lined up the 6mm drill in that hole, or left it in fact for that one, so that I can get the both holes at exactly the same level. So when I drill the others, I'll probably have to do the same procedure, just pop the drill in this hole to make sure it's lined up properly, and then drill the hole this end on all the pieces. Obviously it's not going to take too long to do. That's it. So another 3 of these to do, but again obviously I'll do those off camera because it's all exactly the same thing. You'll probably tell me off for not using some sort of support underneath here, but believe me, this is not that critical. You'll see later on what these are going to be for. The tube's got quite warm actually, but luckily this tube is quite good, and I'll explain a bit more about this tube later on and where I got it from. But it's reasonably thick walled as well, so I'm hoping that when the bolts go through and are tightened up, it's not going to distort the tube too much, although that's not really going to matter for this particular job. To line things up for the second hole, obviously once I drilled one and drilled the second one here at the correct measurement, I can obviously leave the X movement in exactly the same position for this hole, but to line subsequent tubes up in this orientation, simplest way to do it really was just to drop the drill through the hole and then use the smallest set square I've got, is this little one, but using it sort of sideways if you like, and just line that up against the edge of the drill, and then lock the vise into position so I can get both of these holes sort of parallel to one another. Just thought I'd show you that, but I suppose you would have all come to the same, or had the same idea anyway if you were doing something like this. So that should give me a nice straight holes at both ends for this. So there we are, we've got all the holes drilled, 8 holes, all drilled 6mm to take some 6mm bolts. So I'll just move on now to the next part of this, where I'll explain what this is all about and why I'm doing it. So bear with me for a couple of minutes, and I'll show you hopefully how this is going to turn out. Right, well this is my plan. You see here a step stool, which, I guess we bought this way over 20 years ago to use around the house. We're in a house which is something like about 28 years old, so a lot of the ceilings are not terribly high. So, but if you ever needed to change a light bulb, or even in some rooms paint the ceiling or anything like that, this was such a useful thing to have. You bought it as a sort of a kit of parts that you just put together yourself. It all goes together with pre-drilled holes and screws that you put in with an Allen key. Well, this became redundant because we decided to buy a metal one, a metal step stool which folds flat, so that it can be kept out of the way, hidden away in a corner in the kitchen. So this got moved around the house, and eventually it was just in everyone's way basically. So I brought it into the workshop, and occasionally I've used it in here for various things. Sometimes I've used it to put bits of wood on to saw up, but I thought if I could convert this into something slightly taller, to the same height as one of my workshop benches, I could make extra use out of this as an additional very, very small bench that I could move around the workshop and also take out of the workshop as well, and use it in the back garden on sort of a warm day, or if I'm doing something that I don't really want to do in the workshop, but I could just take this outside. Now what I thought of doing was just buying some I think you call it constructional timber. Let's just turn it around that way. I think constructional timber, and then screwing on some sort of longer pieces onto all the legs to give it more height. But then the other day we were in IKEA, and we noticed that they had these tubes, and you could buy 4 of these very inexpensively. Basically they're the legs that go onto a little table that you pop a child in the top, a small child from 6 months old up to a couple of years or so, to have their food on. And these legs, a set of these legs, were very, very inexpensive. And I looked at them, that gave me another idea. Why not buy a pack of these, 4 of them? They're already nicely painted. They've got little plastic feet on the bottom, and then attach these onto the legs. I reckon that putting them so that they stop against this first step here would give me the right sort of height, and I can just drill through here 6mm and put 6mm bolts through, perhaps with wing nuts or something like that on the other side, so that if I needed to use the step stool for something else, I could just take the legs off, because obviously it's going to take up a little bit of room in the workshop. I'll have to move it around a bit because obviously of the shape of the legs. You can see both legs, or the legs on both sides, they do splay out. So I'm going to try and line these up centrally to the leg here, up against the first step, and then just mark that out. Make sure then that I get all the holes central, and then for this side, just put where you've got this step here, just clamp a piece of wood on that side, sort of level with the top section of that beam there, and do the same on that side, and that should give me I hope a very, very nice little extra bench to use around the workshop or outside. It could a number of uses in the garden. My wife could even use it for putting perhaps a big piece of wood on the top here, and use it for potting up plants and things like that. So that would extend the life of this. I think eventually this would have got in everyone's way and annoyed everyone, and probably would have ended up being taken apart and probably thrown away. But I'm all for trying to find other uses for things, basically. So that's what I intend to do. So I might just show you sort of part of what I'm doing to sort of drill the holes and so forth in the wooden stool itself. But failing that, you know, once this is all done, I'll show you the thing set up. When I've got I think a large board somewhere as well that I could probably attach to the sort of top of this to make a table as well. But I would, you know, just you can add to this as you go along, basically. So I think this is going to be quite useful. So I'll probably bring you back presently. Right, well, to line up where I want the holes to be, I've used a transfer punch. I had to find one that would approximately fit the size of the hole. This is a 6mm hole, but my set of transfer punches are imperial ones. When I originally bought this quite some years ago, and I was looking around for an inexpensive set, and the only inexpensive ones I could find were imperial ones. It seemed that everyone wanted metric ones, and the metric ones were very, very expensive, so I've yet to obtain a set of metric ones. But you know, sometime in the future I'll get metric ones as well, which obviously will give me an exact size. So I just have to find the nearest one I can to fit the hole. But for this job, it's, you know, I mean, extreme accuracy. You know, these fit reasonably well, isn't that important really. So getting that in the position I wanted, I had to drop the position of the top of this down a bit, because I was forgetting that obviously behind here there is a, I don't know if you can see that, there is a bar across here. So drilling through there would go into the bar on the other side here. So I just had to drop that down. So once I worked out the position for the first one, which is going to be there, I'll drill that hole out, and then I can drop a bolt through that to hold it in position, and then drill the one back here. But what I've done first is that now I know what the position of that's going to be. I've measured from the centre here down to that hole, so I know what the measurement is going to be for all the positions all the way round. So that will be, see, originally it would have been up here, which would have been correct, but it's going to be down here. So I've got, I think it's a 50mm measurement down. So now as the legs splay out in both directions, to make sure I get the hole square in, I've dug out my drill guide, and there is obviously a size on 460 for 6mm. So if I can get that in there, put that in the hole. I'm using brad point drills so that I've got a point to go into the hole there, and then I can drill through that, hopefully. It's all a bit shaky. I think now I've got that started, I can probably do away with that and do the rest of it freehand. That's it. So hopefully that hole is okay for the bolt as well. Hopefully that's a good clearance. Yep, that's good. So we can pop him through there and through there, and now I can line the other one up here. I can probably do that pretty well by eye, I imagine. So we'll see how that goes. Perhaps I should make another mark, whether I can trust myself to get that set up by eye, I don't know, but it's made a little mark there. So if I can ruler, there you are. Well, actually that is in the middle, so that's not too bad. So you can go in with that, and drill out the other hole. 6mm hole. Come on, drill, get in there, and hopefully that will line up. Try another bolt and see whether that will line up as well. I've got some shavings under there. Yep, I think that will go through. It will need a little bit of persuasion, but I think that will go. Yeah, that'll go through. So I think that will do it. So 3 other legs to go in exactly the same way. So hopefully that will then give me all the right positions. So what I've found is lying around here. There's a piece of wood that I used to measure out the gap here. It's sort of rather tight, but now I've got the correct measurement, and I can do that by measurement. But I've cleared under here as well, so there is plenty of room for a bolt to go through there as well. So I'll carry on and do the rest of that off camera, and hopefully bring you back when it's all finished. Well, there we have our additional little bench for the workshop, made out of my old step stool, adding on the 4 legs. The bolts obviously here are much too long, but that's the type of bolts I was going to use. That's what I had, because they were actually bought for something else. So I'll just measure the distance across here, and I'll go and buy some shorter ones rather than cut these ones down. So there we've got a bench there, which you see next to it is the bottom of my other workbench here, and I've made it sort of roughly the same height as this one, which is a good working height. And I did think this would be ideal when I'm attempting to do some more silver soldering, putting the fire bricks here onto the top of this, so they're well away from everything else in the workshop. So there we are, that does the job. Oddly enough, when we were in, the wife and I were in IKEA the other day, we looked for these step stools again, which they still do, but they seem to be now made out of much thinner timber here. These are much thinner. Obviously still strong enough to be a step stool, but nowhere near as hefty as the one we bought. But the thing is that things are made out of sort of slightly cheaper materials nowadays, aren't they, or thinner materials. And we notice quite a lot of things, the construction of things has altered a huge amount over the years. So there we are, that's one little fun project. Actually, I quite enjoyed doing this. It was great fun setting it all up on the mill and drilling all the holes in the tubing, and then sort of transferring the holes to the wood. The metal strips here have got these little press-in devices which clip into the base of the baby seat. We did actually buy a complete baby seat while we were there for our grandson, so we've got one here when he comes over and we're looking after him for the day, so that my son and daughter-in-law don't have to bring their one over for us to use. So there we are, that's it. So thanks for joining me in the workshop for a slightly different project this time, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's slightly unusual, but there you go. It was a fun thing to do. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and thanks again also to all the subscribers to the channel. Very grateful to people that have subscribed and send me nice comments and advice. So that's it from me. Cheers for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.